Hey up guys, welcome to part 2 of an idiot mod Skyrim, shortcuts and do we need SKSE? Now if you're one of those lazy people like me who can't be bothered going into the start menu, going into all programs, going down to find mod organizer and then running it from here, you're going to want a shortcut on your desktop. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So for those of you who are on C, from the start menu, if you click computer, double click on local disk C, it will be in program files x86. Don't worry if you don't have an x86, if you just have a program files, it will be in there. x86 just signifies that I have a 64-bit operating system. If you don't, you have a 32-bit operating system, not a problem. So double click that, come down to mod organizer, double click, and I'm going to leave you guys here again. I want to go do it for the people who installed it in the game, like me. Go to my game drive, double click library, and Steam apps, and common, and Skyrim, and mod organizer. As you'll see, we all have the same thing now. What we want to do is we want to send the mod organizer.exe to the desktop. Don't worry if you don't have the .exe, you don't really need it. It's the one opposite applications. If however you do want to have these file extensions showing, the easiest way I find to turn it on is to come to the start menu. In the search bar, type file ext. You don't need to go any further. You should have show or hide file extensions. Click that and you'll see hide extensions for known file types has been unchecked on mine. Yours will be like that. You uncheck it, click apply and click OK, and it's done. You should now have your .exes, .inis, etc, etc, etc all on. So as I said, we want to send this to the desktop, so click to highlight it, then right click, down to send to, go down to desktop, create shortcut and click. Now if we close this down, you'll see we have a mod organizer shortcut. Unfortunately it doesn't specify what game it's for and it does look a bit messy, so let's do a bit of tidying up. First thing I'm going to do is right click on it, come down to rename. I'm going to click just after the R in mod organizer and drag right the way through to exe.shortcut and delete. And then I'm going to put a little space between mod and organizer and hit return, and we have it just as mod organizer. But once again, it's still not specifying what game it is. Now I'd like to put the logo of the game that's going to be in there, because I can have that way Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and maybe even Oblivion on here. So let's just right click on it again, come down to properties, to change icon, and then to browse. And as you can see, I don't have the icon I'm looking for here. If you're wondering where this is guys, if it doesn't automatically open up, if we go from computer, it should be on local drive C, x86 again, down to Steam, and then down to Steam again, then in games, and it's there. I don't have my Skyrim logo here. And we can solve that. So I'm going to go to my Steam, go to library, go down to Skyrim, right click on it, click properties, click local files, verify integrity of game cache, click that and let it go away and do its business. This will take a few minutes. That's finished and one file has failed to validate and be reacquired. I can close that and this, and there we have our Skyrim logo. So click to highlight, then press open. On this window click OK, and then click apply and OK, and we have the Skyrim logo on the desktop shortcut. And then we'll come back to the question I asked at the top of the show. Do we want SKSE? Now for me the answer is simple, yes. The playthrough I've been doing requires it. The question is, do you? Are you going to be using the Sky UI, which is the improved user interface? Are you going to want to use things like Frostful, where you can die of hypothermia? And to prevent such things you have to build campfires and tents to help you survive in the wilds of Skyrim. Or maybe you just want your favourite companion to wear high heels. If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then I think you're going to have to install SKSE. Now the first thing you're going to do, if you don't already have it, is download and install 7-zip. This will unzip the mods that we download if you want to do some modifications on them. It will also help you repackage them once you've done said editing. So if you don't already have it, you'll need to download it. As always guys, links are down below. You should now know whether you have a 32-bit or a 64-bit system. If you're still not sure, just download the 32-bit version. The 32-bit version will work on a 64-bit system. Just click to download. Once it's downloaded, if you run it, install it in C, you'll be fine. Now for those of you that have done that, we're going to go to the Skyrim script extender itself. Now, unlike most mods, Skyrim script extender doesn't really affect your game in a way you'll notice. However, what it does do is allows the talented mod authors that are out there extra tools for doing things in mods. It could be the fact that it just opens up the keyboard, so instead of just using the 25 keys plus the 2 mouse buttons that are sent by Bethesda, you can use the rest of the keyboard for other things. Very useful for things like convenient horses and for Frostfall and for a few other mods that I use. Now we're going to download the 7-zip archive version rather than the installer. I just want to have control over where this is placed and total control over whether or not I use it on all my characters. To download it, if you click, takes a few seconds. It's less than a megabit in size guys. Once it's done, click to show in folder, and we're going to use 7-zip that we've just downloaded to unzip this file. So to do that, it's already highlighted, so just right click, come down to 7-zip and extract here. You'll see we have a new folder. If you double click on it, you'll see we have a data and an SRC folder. For the moment, you can ignore these. It's these files here. In particular, the Steam loader DLL, the SKSE loader DLL and the SKSE DLL that are important. But we're going to install all these files anyway. What we're going to do is we're going to cut these and we're going to go and put them into our Skyrim game folder. So to do that, click and highlight the top one, go down to the bottom one, and while holding shift, click, and they should all highlight. Right click anywhere on the ones that are highlighted, and then you want to cut. Then you want to go along to wherever your game is installed. So for me, it's on SSD, Games F. Double click Steam Library, and the apps, and the common. Down to Skyrim and double click again. I'm going to install those files we've just cut in here with the Skyrim launcher .exe and all the graphical detail inis. So to do that, anywhere where there's blank, if you right click and then click paste. Now we have the basics for running SKSE, but we don't have the data folder installed yet. And for that, we're going to use Mod Organizer. So go back to our desktop, so double click our shiny new shortcut. And it also looks like I need to upgrade my blowing in the wind because there's been a new version. Don't worry about the Sharikran's compatibility patches. I think that the eye patch I have is the last version anyway, and there are that many mods on that page, it could be any of those. Now to install, I'm going to install a mod from an archive, so I'm going to click on that, and it may direct you directly to where your download was. If it doesn't, you need to guide it, and you want to click the 7-zip file, not the file folder. Click to highlight and then click open, and we have the install mods, no game directory on the top level. I did say last episode I was going to try and find a mod that wasn't packed correctly, and SKSE is a prime example. What we need to do now is to click the little down arrow here. As you see, we have a file called data. It will not always be called data. There are a couple of mods out there where they are disguised badly, but it will usually be the top file. Left click to highlight, right click, set as data directory. This now says looks good, and click OK. Click to enable it, and then we're going to drag and drop it to the top here because that's roughly where it should be sat. And we now have SKSE installed. We can go into game and make sure we have it. With SKSE in the combo box, if we click run. Now we could have done this on the start screen, but I think it's better here because basically you can see it better. We're going to check that we have SKSE installed, and we're going to use the console to find out. To open the console, we need to use the tilde key. If you're not sure where that is, it's directly below escape, directly above tab, and directly to the left of 1. That should have isolated it down to one key. If you press it, you should get the grayed out bar at the bottom of the screen and a prompt. what you're going to type is get SKSE version and then press enter, and we should have SKSE version 1.73 release IDX48. So we have the basics of SKSE installed. Now you may have heard that SKSE not only has all these resources for modders, it also has a memory block fix built in. Now to best describe it, I'm actually going to go in the game and spawn some guards, and we'll see if we can show you what's going on along the way. Now here we have me, and I found a nice quiet area just outside Whiterun. I'm going to start spawning Whiterun guards in. So we'll start with 20, and then 40, and then 60, and I'll leave this running in the background while I try and explain what's going on. Now Skyrim has 2 memory blocks. They are 256 meg each, and the first one is the primary, the second one is an overflow. And as we keep on going, we're just filling up that first block. So I mean, all the scenery here, all these trees, the windmills, the river in the background, and the 2 guys fighting in the background that I didn't notice till just now, are all parts of that memory block being filled up. And as you can see, the game has just crashed. That doesn't mean that both blocks are full. What that means is the first block is full, and when it tries to transfer over to the second block, it crashed. It's a very sloppy job of doing it. Doesn't work. So now we have SKSE installed. Let's try again. Let's go up in 50s this time. So we're at 300 now. Let's go up in 20s from here. So we've just passed where we were, and it's crashed again. SKSE does have a memory block fix in it, but without a file called an ini file in that SKSE folder, it doesn't get used to its full effect. So that's what we need to do now. So now we need to see about installing this SKSE.ini file, and there is some details about it online. If you go to the Steam community page, there is a discussion about SKSE memory and the SKSE.ini and how to create it. What we need to do is create a file inside a folder, and these have to be on that file. Don't worry if this sounds too complicated, there is an easy way around it. I'll show you that in a minute, but I'm just going to do this. I'll go to my downloads, and in the SKSE file that is still unpackaged, not the 7-zip file, the one that we unpacked earlier, I'm going to go in there, into the data folder, and below scripts I'm going to create a new folder. So anywhere there's space, right click, down to new, across the folder, and I'm going to call this in capitals SKSE. Then I'm going to go into that folder, so double click, right click, go down to new. I'm going to create a text document. Okay. I'm going to change the name of this text document to SKSE. I'm going to change the TXT to INI. Okay, so it's not going to be a text file, it will be an ini file. You have to have file extensions to be able to do this edit. As I said, don't panic, there is a way around it. I'll show you it in a minute or two. So I'm going to do this one first. So INI. When I press enter, I'm going to get a warning saying you changed the file name extension. The file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes, I am. So we now have an SKSE.ini inside an SKSE folder inside the data folder of SKSE. What I need to do is right click on the ini, come down to open with, and across to Notepad. There is Notepad++ if you have it, but I'm going to be using Notepad for the time being. Okay, and now I need to get some information to put in here, and to do that I go back to the website and I'm going to copy and paste these files. So click just before the bracket outside general and sweep all the way through the words while holding down, and then right click and copy. Go back to our notepad, right click anywhere and paste. Okay, then go up to file and save. So we now have an ini file and all the detail that we need saved inside it. Go back to our downloads where our SKSE is, and I'm going to recompress this folder. But first I'm going to change the name. So while it's highlighted, right click, rename, and I'm going to use block capitals, so I'm going to keep the numbers. So I'm going to drag through SKSE and do it in capitals SKSE, so I know the difference between the version that's already in and the version I've got. I'm going to go to the end of 10703 plus ini. So I know that this folder has got SKSE 10703 plus the ini file. I can then right click on it, come down to 7-zip and click add to archive, then click OK on this menu that pops up. So I've now created this SKSE 10703 plus ini 7-zip file. I'm going to delete the original file here. I've no longer any need for that one, so that can be gone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy and paste this into my mod download folder. Okay, I would suggest you do the same. If you're not doing this, I would recommend that you have your SKSE in your download mod folder. That way you know what it is. I know we've already installed it from the install a new mod from an archive. However, if you need it, it can be in your download folder and it won't do any harm in there. It's not a massive file anyway. Click to highlight the one you're going to use. Obviously I'm going to do the one I've just created. Right click on it, click cut, then I need to go to my mods disk, into my mods download, Skyrim mods, and I'll just paste it in here. Now if I go to mod organizer, I have an SKSE 1703 plus ini 7-zip. If you've done the same with the SKSE file you will have one in your download folder as well, except it will be in lowercase and it won't have the plus ini. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to double click to install it, and it should overwrite this one. So I'm going to double click on this. Once again, no game data on the top level. Click the little arrow on the data file, click to highlight, right click, set data directory. As you can see, it now has SKSE as well as scripts. I can click OK. This mod seems to be installed already. Do you want to add files from this archive, overwriting the existing ones, or do you want to completely replace the existing files? All files are deleted. Alternatively, you can install this mod under a different name. Now I don't want to rename it, and I don't really want to merge it, I want to replace it. So I am going to replace it. As you can see, it's no longer selected. If I reselect it, drag it to the top, back where it was, I can double click on it and go across to the file tree, and we should have an SKSE.ini, which we do. So that should now work. Let's just go back in game, back to where we were, spawn some more guards in and just see how far we can take it. I know I'm using guards at the moment. It could be any resource the game wants. Just a way of showing you how much more memory the game has to play with and how much more stable your game should be because of that fact. So I'm going to click close here. We'll click run and I'll see you back by Whiterun. Right. So here we are. I will just call up some guards. So tilde, I need help. Whiterun. You can see here at the bottom we have a code for Whiterun guards. I'm just going to add some. So player.place at me ff001d35, and let's go silly and add how many we crashed out at last time just to see if it's working. Press return and then the tilde key, and that's 400 guards. So that's 400 guards, and I have a map update, but we have 400 guards and the game seems reasonably stable, not a problem. Let's reduce how many we're adding. Let's go down to 100 guards. That's 500, 600, 700. Are they finished spawning yet? Oh, there yet? 700 now there, yeah? Let's go again. 800.
Thanks again for helping me open the East Empire Company. Gonna have to import some of that aged bread and cheese.
900. So that's double what we had before we installed the ini. 1000. I think my game will crash from the lack of frame rate before it runs out of guards. 1100. And still we spawn. 1,200. Nearly 3 times as many as we had before. It's starting to look like a festival. And let's see if we can get one more, eh? 1,300 guards. I think I've made my point. The game has now got a lot more memory to play with and should be stable for that reason. And I see those guys are still fighting in the background. Or are they attacking wolves? I'm not 100% sure at this point. Anyway, I did say I was going to show you how to do this in case you found the way I did it already a little bit too complicated. So I'm going to leave the game and show you how to do that. As you can see, I've gone back to the older version of SKSE, the one that we installed from an archive earlier on. So double click, go in and show the file tree. As you can see, there's only scripts again, no SKSE.ini at all. Fortunately, on the Nexus site is a mod, SKSE.ini pre-download for lazy users by Sagittarius22. On the front page we have this simple file contains all SKSE.ini settings you may want to use. It requires SKSE. This does not contain any SKSE files or scripts or DLLs. It only includes the ini settings if you people are too lazy to do it by yourself, or if you find the other way of doing it a little bit too complicated. This includes the memory patch settings including SKSE 1.7.2 or higher, well we've got 0.3, as well as the clear invalid registration setting, which will clean your save from a dirty on update blocks. This basically means that it will try and clean any clutter left in your game save after you remove certain mods. It's no guarantee it will work, so always pick your mods with care. And it also enables a higher texture resolution for wall paints. This is what this ini includes, and it's the same, more or less, as what we had here, with the possible exception of the enable diagnostics equals 1. Now you will notice that he says that he has on update 1.1 now got that in there as well. So that's now all in the ini file we're about to download. Yeah, if you're wondering what the memory one is, it's here where it says memory default heap initial allocation megabits 768, and the scrap heap size in megabits is 256. Okay, that's the second block. So if that's the second block, take 256 from 768 and we get 512. As I said, we have a double size first block. So to download this, we go along to Files, Download with Manager. I have SKSE. Now go back to our Skyrim mod organizer, down to Downloads. As you'll see, it's already downloaded. It's a very small file. Double click to install. We get the quick install set up. I'm going to change the name to exactly the same as SKSE for reasons you'll see in a second. So it's SKSE space 1 space 07 space 03. Then click manual. Once again we get the no game data on top level. This is your data folder. Highlight it with a left click, right click, and then click set directory. Now we have SKSE. If you check, we have an SKSE.ini. Looks okay to me. Then we have the mod exists. This mod seems to be installed already. I just want to merge this with the other SKSE file. So click merge. Says it's installed. Let's double check the file tray again. So double click. File tray. We now have an SKSE.ini file. We now also have a 1.1 under version. This is the most up-to-date version of the ini settings on the Nexus, and if by some chance they discover another ini tweak that will improve the game, hopefully that mod author will update his mod and we should get a warning here that there is a newer version to install, just the same as we have with Blowing in the Wind here. We can also do this. The SKSE that I added the ini to myself, as you can see, has got a red triangle on it. This means that it does not have any metadata. So in other words, it doesn't know which version of it is. As you can see, it says information missing. Please select query info from the context menu to retrieve. Now what I can do is I can fake it into believing that this is the same version as the one we have installed. And to do that, I right click, go down to query info, okay, and it's looking for a mod ID number. So we want the mod ID number for this version. Just close that. we can go into the SKSE here, go along to the Nexus info, and we have a number there, which is 51038. If I click and drag all the way through it, then click copy and close this, then once again right click here, query info, and just paste that number in here. We then get to pick which version of it we want, and we want the ini settings 51038.11 ra, because basically that is the latest version of it, and we have got the warpaint tweak in it, so we might as well keep it with the one there. Click that. We now have the meta ini that will give us the same information. If I install this version, it will be the same as this. So whichever way you've done this, you now have information that if the mod gets updated, we'll get information about it here. Right guys, well, I think I've taken up enough of your time. If this has helped, give me a like, write a comment, maybe subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.